You're good to go whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Hey, people were asking about if you don't Wi-Fi.
Oh, yeah.
Should be able I'll see if they have session. Using the well, not him, but like but they said you need the password. So somebody's like, don't ask me. I'm like,
Yeah, we got it all. I'm ready. Ready?
All right.
don't mind. I still have, I was in just like
No doubt.
research methods. Yeah, I hate those. So it's fine.
Looks like a fun lake cruiser.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you know about like an evaluation thing? Are you guys supposed to be doing? Are we supposed to allow time for like evaluations in between?
I don't think so.
Because last.
10-minute gap, and it'll be done at 9:50 still, I mean.
Okay. Well, then I'll get started.
It's not gonna take enough time.
Okay. Okay.
Go ahead.
All right, guys. Welcome. Let me get over here so the camera can see me. My name is Tim Taylor, teach at Okmulgee High School, and today we're going to talk kind of broadly about Google Drive. Just by a show of hands, how many of you are a Google school or use Google? I kind of make the assumption, like if you're here, you use Google, or somewhat familiar with it. As a millennial or whatever I am, I guess, a lot of teachers at the school assumed I know all the stuff there is to know about the internet because I was raised up with it, right? That's not necessarily the case. But there's some things that I've used in my program that I thought were really neat and real helpful to me to keep myself organized. And so when thinking about what to present here this week, I was just like, well, I have these documents that I've shared to a few ACT teachers, but I've kind of collected them together and put them in a file, and I'm going to share them with you guys. I'm going to go over a few things regarding those. So hopefully they're helpful to you. You can use them, adapt them to your benefit. I teach at Okmulgee. I think I mentioned that. Our program was closed down in 2011, and so after student teaching, I was hired to bring back the program in 2018. Recently, in 2020, got the National 3-Star Chapter. We're on our way again, hopefully this year, with another 3-Star Chapter application. And this just ended year 4, starting year 5 there at Okmulgee. Okay, so why are we here? To practice brotherhood, honor agricultural opportunities. Yeah, right? No. So, thinking as your role as an ag teacher, how many different... Is there a clicker here? That would be nice. That would be too much to ask for. Okay. How many hats, as an ag teacher, how many hats do you wear on a given week, right? You have lots of different things that you're in charge of. And so this is just a small list that I put together. You're all of these things, sometimes all at the same time. And the ones that are the ones that are bold, I wanted to kind of pay attention to because it has it applies to what we're talking about today. But a lot of the times you're the accountant and you may have more than one activity account that you're in charge of. You may have an Ag Boosters account that you're monitoring. And so you're doing fundraisers. You have way more money going through your hands than maybe even some athletic departments, right? And so you got to be careful and cognizant of how you keep track of that money, right? You're also an IT specialist. How do you turn in this assignment? How do you attach this file to an email? Sending out messages, reminders, things like that to your students, right? You're also a travel planner, state convention, national convention, OYE, all those things, right? You're always planning things, and so that applies to what we're talking about. And also a grant writer. there's always never enough money to do things, and so you're having to create budgets, doing all that fun stuff. So you're a grant writer as well. So how can we use Google Drive to help you do all those jobs? I do want to start off by saying file management, which is kind of what we're talking about, is different for everybody. So if you're familiar with SpongeBob, you know there's an episode where he has a file, he has an office in his brain, and so your file management is kind of like your brain neural pathways. Everyone's is different. The way I keep my files organized is going to be different than someone else's. So if some of this stuff that I talk about doesn't make sense, just know that you can change it, not use it, whatever the case may be. And then also, for a lot of things, you may need physical, so you may need to print some stuff off. And then there's some stuff that's always going to live in the cloud, that's always going to live online. So just being aware of that. Some stuff, if you have a system where you write something on a notepad and it's right there by your phone and you won't forget it, that's great. That's a great way to organize things. But some things, if you can transition it online, especially to Google and to the cloud, it's always there. It's never going to go away unless something catastrophic happens to California, like it falls off their, earthquake falls off in the earth, in the ocean. So it's always going to be there. And so some of the stuff that you do physically, if you can transition it to online as well. So I'm talking about like sign up sheets for activities. Filling out like data entry, having the kids fill out different things. If you can transition that to the cloud, that's going to make your life so much easier because then it's all there at at the keystrokes of a search bar. Let's see if this works.
Tim, I have a question.
Yes.
On your digital stuff, do your new program or restart program, do your kids pay more attention to your Google stuff more than they would the physical, put it in paper here, sign here type stuff? What would they rather do?
That's a good question. And that's kind of, guys, where I have the benefit of being a restarted program. There was no like how we used to do things. We just kind of, like on our sign up sheets, like I have one on here that's for our Christmas party. So it's a potluck sign up. So they go in and they sign in, or they sign up for what they want, so then everyone sees what they signed up for. I think it's a mixed bag. For us, they kind of expect it because that's kind of how I've done things. But I think if someone was transitioning to kind of do more stuff online, it would take some time. Hey, don't forget.
You don't have to quite change the tradition as much.
Not as much, but there's still some kids that are like, finger pecking. And they were like, I don't know how to type on a computer because they're used to typing with their thumbs, right? Not their fingers. And so there's a little pushback. And especially during COVID, they didn't want to look at a computer. I didn't want to look at a computer because of all the online classes. And our school is a little different. We just are now transitioning away from that back to traditional. And so it's there is some pushback, yeah. But I think if it's just like AET, I know everyone loves AET, but there's a lot of good tools in AET, and if you're able to just make that a routine of using that, then they'll catch on. Okay. Yeah. So as far as today, I'm not going to go through like some of this. We're going to highlight on some of these. I was going to just go through it all, and then I timed myself, and I was like, oh, we're way too far. So we're going to go through. There's a couple things I really want to hit on. One is the money management one, which is like accounting your activity account tracker spreadsheet that I've created. I've stolen that from other ag teachers, so it's just a reiteration of someone else's stuff. And then the fundraiser, which I thought there's 3 spreadsheets in that, which I thought were pretty helpful, especially for our meat sale that we do. And then the history stuff I want to hit on because I'm a history buff and I like those. So that's what we're going to kind of cover today. We're really just talking about Google Sheets and Google Docs. But there's all sorts of stuff out there. If you've not played around with the Google Suite, you have Google Docs, Sheets, Slides, Forms. Your email is a great tool if used correctly. And then your calendar can also be a really cool tool. There's a whole lot of stuff. I'm not a Google certified teacher or whatever, so you could go through a whole series of workshops on all of these things. So if your school is a Google school, you have access to all of these. And I'd encourage you to maybe find ways to implement that, because for some kids it's more native to them and they can understand it. And they kind of all talk to each other, which is really, like, they're easy to use amongst each other. Okay, so I'm going to talk about those, but an honorable mention is canva.com. If you haven't used Canva, I learned about that here last year. There's an education version of it that you sign up and you get the premium version of Canva for free. You put in your school email and they verify who you are. It's great. If your chapter reporter isn't using this for like social media graphics or just flyers or event graphics, it's really helpful. They also do PowerPoint like presentations. You can make little videos to put on, again, social media or whatever. You also have the opportunity, I've used this year, you create something on Canva and you can have it printed for fairly cheap, probably about the same price as what you would for a print shop. So we've done everything from little postcards. We've designed a postcard for like our back to school ice cream party, or Christmas. We do have Christmas cards on there. Print that, send it off, they mail it back to you, and you get really high quality full color prints. Really cool stuff. So that's an honorable mention for that.
Really easy to use.
Yeah, I love it. I kind of feel like it's cheating as an ag comm double major here at OSU. You know, I learned all about InDesign and Illustrator and all that stuff, and I feel like Shelly Sinton is going to like come through my computer and yell at me for not using, you know, those things. But it's just so daggum easy, and you can throw a kid at it. And the education, you actually can have them create designs and submit it to you, and then you can approve it or whatever. So, and then don't forget about AET with its calendar, the meeting manager. You know, those of you that went to that AET workshop a couple weeks ago, if you're anything like me, my brain was mush by the end of it because it was just a lot of stuff. But this is a free tool that you already have, or not free, I guess you pay for it. You already pay for it anyway. So delve into that. The thing that I took away from that workshop was the teacher journal, being able to document your time and being able to generate a report at the end of the year and see, hey, I've spent X amount of hours outside my contract time working on SAEs or, you know, whatever the case may be. And then also being able to upload their photos to their portfolio, because inevitably a kid as an 8th grader is going to lose their phone or something by the time they're a senior. And so if they can upload all their stuff to their SAE portfolio on AET, it's in the cloud, and it's there, not forever, but
That meeting
anyway.
manager, well, we did a QR code at our community service thing on the 14th. And they scanned it and it rolled it in the QR code setup. I typed what I wanted it to say in their community service journal.
Mm-hmm.
So when they clicked it in, it was right there, complete sentence, spelled correctly.
Nice.
So they can't screw it up when it comes to degrees. That was the second thing was like key
Right.
information.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so just briefly, how do you currently keep track of your accounts in your program? Either your activity account, your Ag Boosters account, whatever. How do you right now keep track of that?
Keep mine in binder.
Okay, so it's all like, so if let's say someone writes you a check, you write that in a ledger and then
basically
manually
just
have
put
to.
it in there and make a copy, and it's a headache.
Okay. What else?
I have one of those like expanded folders and just throw everything in there.
Okay. So the problem that I ran into is I was trying to do it just in just in a little ledger, paper ledger, and I would add incorrectly or something, and I would always have to call the board secretary and be like, hey, how much money do I have in my activity account? How much money is left on this PO? Did I close this PO already, or whatever? And so I had to create something for myself that was a little more simple, that I can just at a glance see, okay, what POs are open, what are closed, how much money is left in that PO, because my school allows us to, let's say do like $200 to Walmart, and then as long as it's in the realm of what I wrote the PO for, I can go back multiple times, right? And so I would have multiple receipts, and I'm like, I don't know how much money I have left. And so I'm sure the secretary at the board office is really tired of this young first-year teacher calling her all the time. So I had to create something else. Someone's like, fairies. Do you have a fairy that takes care of your stuff for you? So as far as your activity accounts, I've created this template and we're going to share it with you. It allows you to see at a glance active and inactive purchase orders. It does require a little clicking. And this in this PowerPoint I'll share with you also. It'll be part of the folder that I'll share with you. You're able to see active and inactive purchase orders. You'll be able to see, as let's say you're doing your meat sale and you're, being able to see all the different receipts that you have come in. You're able to track that on there. And then also anything going out. You're also, the cool thing about this is you set it up, or your program sets it up, and you can share it with your co-teachers if you're a multi-teacher program. So everyone knows all at a glance how much money is left in the account at a glance. And then also, if you're wanting to, or if you're asked to share this with the school administrator, so they'd be able to justify, like, hey, why are you writing all these POs? Aren't you running out of money yet? I had that question this year. They're like, man, you're writing money like you're won the lottery. And I'm like, this is why we fundraise, so we can spend the money, right? So you can share it with your school administrators so they can view it, not necessarily edit your document. There is, this slide will make sense in a second. Whenever you get any of these templates, you'll copy it to your drive. I'll show you how to, I'll briefly talk about that. And then the thing that makes this work, or one of the features of this, is you're able to hyperlink or link a picture of a receipt or a scan of a receipt in the spreadsheet, so that maybe later you'll be able to go back and say, hey, last year we were doing this activity, let's say the ice cream social, and how much ice cream did we buy last year? You can go back to this spreadsheet later, click on the picture of the receipt, blow it up, and you'll be able to see, hey, we bought 5 containers of ice cream last year. Let's get more. We need more. So that capability, that you're going to have a dedicated folder, which I'll show you in a second, and then figure out how you're going to take pictures of receipts. You don't have to do that feature. I like it because it gives me verification that yes, I turned in the receipt, because it's a process that I do. I take a picture of it, upload it, put it in my spreadsheet, and then send it to the board office. It's also, it allows you to have a copy of it always in case something goes awry at the board office. Okay, so let's take a look at this template. If I'm going too fast, or whatever the case may be, just let me know. I'll try to slow it down. Let's see if I can blow this up a little. Okay, so for this, I've created like an instructions page. So when you get the template, you'll see there's an instructions page, just some notes and different things that I've put in there. But yeah, and so there's also all the instructions for everything. Yes?
Tim, before we get too far in depth in this, I'm liking what I'm seeing.
Okay.
The problem that I have is every daggone time I create a document in Google, I can never find the stupid thing, and there's a million of them. Every time you open it up, it pops up again, and every time it opens up, it pops up again. It sucks trying to put stuff in a folder and knowing that it stays in a folder and it don't ever pop up somewhere else, and knowing that you're on the right daggone copy.
Right.
That, I don't know, that might be... that might be child's play for some, but...
No, you're good. So you're saying your drive kind of looks like this. It's all, like everything's out there.
Yeah, I hate that.
Whatever. Okay. So Google has actually done something really cool, and I hope it's gone everywhere else. So over on this left side, you see it says My Drive, right? So that's where I'm at right now. If you go up to this priority, they have these things called workspaces, which are really useful, especially when you're, let's say, doing your meat sale. You click this create button, you title it, meat sale, okay? And then you're able to go through and choose files from your drive that you use the most often. So let's say, let's just go here. I have mine in a little thing here. So let's say this is your meat sale. Come on, computer. And you always use this. Well, let's not do that. Let's use the one I'm actually going to show you. So let's say you're going to use this document most often, right? And you can click done. It's always going to live right here as long as it's there. And so then whenever you go to your drive, that's the document you're looking for. Does that make sense? And so you click it and there's your document.
There it is.
So that may help you out. The other thing I encourage you to do is be aware of how you name your documents. So if it's something that changes every semester, you may do like a spring 22 or spring 22 lambs records or something, right? Or whatever. And then if it's a fall thing, you can do like FA 22, kind of like how they did in college, spring, fall. Or if it's something that's done by a physical year, like year after year, FY 23 truck mileage or something like that. That may help you out. So.
Is your activity account, you just revolve it and never have a year on it? You just put activity account to keep it simple? Or?
So I do a year. I do it each physical year.
Okay.
And so let's just go ahead and jump into it. So I gotta zoom out just a little. Otherwise, I'm not going to show everything. So this is what this template looks like. And so on it, you have your dates, you have your PO numbers. Does your school, is that how you guys format your PO numbers? Like the year, something, and then the number? Okay. Anyway, so that's how my school does it. It doesn't really matter because whatever you put in here is how it's going to, the formulas are still going to work. But for my school, it's the fiscal year, 60 is activity accounts, and then the last three numbers is the individual PO number. And so it has a PO number, your vendors, or what you spent money on, if you're depositing anything, if there's a receipt number or a check number. So that receipt number is from your activity receipt book. And then if you paid anything out, and then a running balance. So you have a running balance of how much money you have in the account, and then a spot for invoices and receipts.
Do you just share this with your activity or finance people?
I could.
Better not to.
I mean, sorry.
Like at the end of the year, do you have to send this whole deal to them, or what?
No, this is just for me. So here, let me go ahead and pull up mine. I'll show you what it looks like. So like this is the activity account. So we had it closed out for the end of the year. What I liked about it is I could look over here on the side and know exactly how much money is active in POs, so encumbered or active POs. And then I have that total reflects, your gross, so like this running total minus your POs and then what's available, right? This more reflects what they send me on my reports. They send me a report every month. And so it's a running list of transactions. And that's what I liked, because I got to the point where I was like, I don't know how much money is left in that Walmart PO, but on their report it showed 3, Walmart POs open or transactions, and I'd have to go through and add up and figure, okay, well that's why I only have $50 left, or whatever. You got a question?
Yeah, do you guys see your POs there that you have? Do you automatically give the PO number, or does your increment what the PO number for you?
The school board does. Yeah, the board office
I was
does.
gonna say, you already have that ability to do that. How are you going to do that?
Yeah.
You
So.
you go back and then.
Yes. Yes. So this is where you'd spend most of the time, is here in the transactions. But whenever, let's say I'm wanting to start a PO, I'm wanting to get started, and let's say I want to spend $105 at Tractor Supply. So my process is I have this highlighted in red, and that's something that I did. It's not automatic. It's not like the conditional formatting. I go and I say I want to do Tractor Supply for $105. That's the original PO amount. Let's say I get an email later today, hey, your PO has been approved. You can spend the $105, and then your PO number, oh good grief, I can type. It's 500, right? So then you have an active PO, and this part's just for you. You don't necessarily have to do this highlighted thing, but that shows me like, hey, that's an active PO. Okay, I go to Tractor Supply, I buy my shovels. So I go here and I buy my shovels, or whatever the date is, right? I put that PO number in. What that's going to do is the formula is set up to look at that number here and add up all of the stuff. Which will make,
so your PO number has a formula in it?
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Well, so it does over here. So,
okay.
because what it's going to do is every time I use that PO number, it's going to add up right here in this column.
Okay.
And so, and then it's going to show me an available balance. So let's go back here and let's say I only spend, let's say Tractor Supply. And this part, the vendor and memo, that's just for you to know what you spent your money on. You're not depositing anything. Let's say you only spend $85 there, right? Just that right there, see that changed your amount here. Over here, you can see you have $20 left in your PO.
That is cool.
So, yes.
Okay, this is really cool and I'm digging it.
Okay.
So my teaching partner,
Uh-huh.
I don't perceive her doing this.
Okay.
That's not gonna work, right?
Uh-huh. What's that? Sorry.
That's not gonna work. That account's gonna be off and she's just, yeah.
You would, if for it to work, you'd have to have one set of books, right? Yeah. Yeah. But, right. So that's the really cool, like that's the practical side of this, right? Like you have it calculating how much money you have left. So let's go back. Let's say we do another transaction at Tractor Supply for, $15, right? If you just put 15 here and you don't put a PO number, nothing happens over here. So you have to put that PO number back. So I can type. Okay.
So every time you have to put that PO number in exactly.
And it ties it exactly to that. And so now.
But if you miss a number, it won't be, if you don't type the PO right.
See, I typed it in wrong, right?
Yeah, but I see the formula now, it's tied to that PO number formula.
Yep. And so now it shows I have $5 left in that PO. So that's the cool side. The other practical side of this is looking at the receipts or invoices. Because like I said, you may want to look back on it and be like, hey, how much did I spend at Walmart? So if it's linked here, you can click that receipt and zoom in and see, okay, I spent $6 on a Santa mask or for whatever, right? How do you, okay, so that part, you have to have a folder somewhere in your drive set up for activity or your receipts or invoices. And so somehow either uploading it from your phone, you can upload photos, like take a picture of it, upload it to your Google Drive through your phone. That's the easiest, that's how I do it, that's the easiest way. You also could somehow scan it and have it on your computer and upload photos to this from your computer, right? You just go.
Okay, for organizational part, when you create your activity account workspace, and you've got your ledger in that workspace, can you put this in that same workspace so it's all in the same locale?
It doesn't allow you to put folders in here, which is kind of dumb. But what I do is I name mine something right up here at the top, Ag Ed Financial Docs, and then I have that right there. And so those are all my receipts and invoices.
Okay.
For this, so let's go here. So you have to have, that's why I said you have to have a dedicated folder for that. What I do whenever I upload something, I usually name it, the vendor. So let's say Walmart. And then underscore the PO number 456 and then the date, because you may have different dates for that PO, right? What that allows you to do is whenever you go, like if you have to search for it, it's there, right? And then it also makes it a little more organized in here.
Okay.
So let's say I went to Tractor Supply. This is my Tractor Supply PO. It's not, but let's say it is. You right click and hit Get Link. And then you copy link, right? So now it's on your clipboard, it's copied. Go back to your transaction here, and in this cell you can say receipt. Receipt is one of those words I never learned how to spell, so it may be spelled wrong, so sorry. So you Control All or you highlight that word, and then you can either go up here to insert link, or the keyboard shortcut is Control K, and that inserts a link, and then Control V is paste. You're pasting that link in that, hit apply, and there's your photo.
Oh man,
You're a wizard.
And so no matter, let's say you move this document around, as long as you don't delete the photo, those things will talk to each other. Because what I end up doing a lot is, so year after year, I'll move, or I'll rename this, like I'll rename this document, or I'll move it somewhere else, so it's not on my dashboard. Those things will still talk to each other. And so so I'll be able to go, let's see if I can find it relatively quickly. So here is last year's, and I didn't do this last year as much. I tried. You see how things have changed? I've kind of changed it. I could still look at that receipt from T.H. Rogers from last year and see what I bought. So that part is cool to me because I'm like,
You don't have to go search for it.
you don't have to go search for it, and it's there. And Google Docs, it's there. The tracking feature is what's nice to me, and being able to know how much money I have left in active POs or whatever, and then I can reconcile that with my board office report.
And this is something, I'm more of a shop guy more than anything else. I'm blessed, I got a teaching partner so he does the show side, I do the shop side. And awesome. So like if we used to do a 412, I have a lot of open POs. Air gas, Wheeler Metal, our local hardware store.
Yep.
Would it be better is there a way of linking those three together but still keeping them separate? Like if you wanted to know how much money you spent at Wheeler last year, I see a couple of Walmart deal figures out there.
Are they all under the same?
If we have a ton of POs, right? Even though it's open, but we have a ton of POs going in and out of our 412 account, is there a way on your deal right there just to bring up just the Walmart side? Or just like for me to be Wheeler?
Oh, to filter it?
Yeah.
Not in this.
You do a blanket PO to like your air gas.
Right.
So
It's tied to that PO number.
Right.
So let's say this is your air gas. As long as that number is the same for all those transactions or whatever, you'll be able to have a running total of how much money you spent and how much money you have left open.
You just have to make sure to put the same PO number each time.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Could you trade out the numbers for air gas, like put air gas as that PO and it's still working the formula?
Let's try it. Nope, that's not how you spell air gas.
Instead of using a number that gets confusing.
Okay. Yep, it works. Then, because so PO. Let's say this is your PO. Let's say it's $1,000, right? Doing that, the reason this column is here is because I had times where maybe my principal didn't approve the full amount of my PO, but I want to have some sort of record of what I asked for in years previous. Or it happens a lot with our meat sale money. I'll budget like $5,000 from Blue and Gold, but it ends up being $6,500, the actual bill. Me personally, I just wanted to know how much money I originally asked for and how much it ended up costing. And so that's why that 1,000's there. And so once you get your approved PO, you come in here and put 1,000 and you're ready to go. And that adds up there.
And then it balances out.
Yeah.
That's way cool.
So let's say you're done with this PO, this Tractor Supply PO. You're only going to spend $100 there. You go in and you're ready to close the PO. It's ready to be done. You put in however much this is, like for the spent. So it's the $100. Your balance over here is now zero. It's not encumbered anymore, right? And so now you just take it and clear it, and now that's it. Closed, at a glance, closed PO. Just like this Farm Bureau Foundation one, it's closed because we had just the one payment of $270 right here with the invoice right there. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. That's cool though. I didn't know it could do the air gas. So I guess the way the formula is set up is whatever's in here, as long as it matches this exactly, it'll go through. So if that helps you out, if that makes more sense to you, that's how you can hack it, adapt it to your program.
So at Okmulgee, do you have a system that the school uses for PO?
So I think they use WinGauge or whatever.
We use WinGauge,
Yeah.
and we do all the accounting through there.
You guys do all of your accounting through WinGauge?
Yeah.
How the heck is that possible? We still do the old hand.
Now I don't have access to it. It's the reports that they send out.
So
That's
we
what
have
I'm
to
looking
go
at.
in and, like, we have an account on WinGauge, and we go in and
request the PO, I gotta remember all the
Oh,
numbers.
yeah.
It's stupid, and then the encumbrance never matches up with how much money you have, like, it makes no sense.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's the finance ladies or just the system. So at the end of it, might be my teaching partner, because I don't know. But at the end of this, do you show them that, or?
You could.
What do you turn into? Just receipts?
Just my receipt book,
This is
really.
just for you.
Yeah.
This is personal.
This is just for me personally to know how much money we have.
So you're not calling the numbers clerk saying, hey, all money because I have that.
Right, yes,
And it's just a good kind of CYA, like.
exactly.
Yeah, if someone asks you, or if you notice books are off, you have an account of everything that you've done. And if books are off, they need to figure out where it went off.
Yeah. And what this does is this reflects almost exactly how their report is ran. So their report is transactional. So every time there's a deposit, every time there's a payment. And so I was trying to make it resemble theirs. One thing we haven't talked about is, let's say you have a deposit. Let's say somebody comes in and gives you some money. Let's say Johnny Cash comes in and gives you some money, $500. You wouldn't put a PO number because it's not a PO, right? It's just, whatever. So you put that in there. You don't have to put a date, but if you want, you should. And then you have your receipt book, right? So it should be the next one in line if you didn't skip any receipts. There you go. And that's just for you. That's just a record for you. And so it increased your balance $100, and so now you have it in there. Or 500, yeah, 500. So for me, that was worth it. Being able to have it calculate it itself, it helps. And so, does that make sense?
This year, with the inflation, I think this is going to be really beneficial, because if I bought 10 cylinders of gas last year for $3,500 and I can't get but 5 this year for $3,500, it kind of helps to show, hey, we're getting to do less with the same amount of money.
Right.
So you can go, I don't know, I won't get it, but you can go ask for it.
Well, and then the thing is, you could go here and click print, and you can print the whole thing.
Yeah. Man, this is good.
Okay. And you can do, I think you can do the whole book. So that's the first page, second page, and then there's your POs, list of all your POs. Okay. Moving on, just because of time. Fundraisers, we do a meat sale. We sell blue and gold sausage, like blue and gold and T&D meats for our meat sale. We do it in the spring and the fall. And so there's 3 spreadsheets that I use quite a bit. One is to track how much money kids have actually turned in. We do a prepaid sale. So, Susie brings you $5 today, and then $20 the next day, $30, 2 days after that. And so how do you keep track of how much money she's turned in so that before she gets her product, she can, make sure you have it all paid, right? So there's a spreadsheet for that. There's also a spreadsheet for calculating how much everyone in the chapter or individual students ordered, like on their final order form. And then there's one for calculating all of the products from your chapter. Let's say you need 25 cases of sausage, bacon, whatever. And then also the ability to collaborate with your other teachers. So this is in the folder I want to share with you, the 3 documents. First one is this is one I borrowed from my cooperating teacher, Mr. Nettles in Bixby. It's really simple. You have the kid's name. You have the kid's name. This part you don't necessarily have yet. Like as you're going across or as you're doing your money, right? As you're before the sale happens. So let's say like Bree Bevenue here. She came in. She paid $56 one day, and that wasn't that rolled over. And then she paid $88 another day. Added more, $98. So on and so forth, till she owed $1,034, right? Then, when it came time, after I figured out on another spreadsheet here how much money they owed, it is able to tell me at a glance who doesn't owe anything. Their money matched up, right? $179, they paid it. right? So no money here. This person's over $52. They've paid too much. They've paid over $52. And this person is under $26. They still owe some money. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yes.
If they pay over, our school district, we can't write them, if they pay over and we were seated that day, we can't refund it from our financial district.
Right.
So, I don't know how others, we give them a credit for like a FFA t-shirt or something like that. Yeah.
I call it a donation to the meat sale. The thing to remember on all of these spreadsheets, if it's gray, if the cell is gray, that means there's a formula there. So when, let's say next year, or like say you do this in the spring, and then you go back into the fall, and you want to reuse the same spreadsheet, if you select the ones that are not grayed out, you do that, they reset, the formula's reset. And so you're able to reuse the spreadsheet.
You just clear out the
You just clear out the clear ones. Okay. You don't want to touch this because there's a formula in there.
Yeah. Okay.
And that'll mess up your spreadsheet.
So that was what I was fixing to ask you. Okay, so you see, you've got all that right there. You saved that document, and then you're going to use that same document again next year. But you want to clear all cells, but you don't want to delete the formula.
What I'll do though is say, okay, I'm done with this sale. I'm getting ready to start my next sale. I'm not going to change I'm not going to change anything on this. Okay. I'm going to go up here and make a copy, and then change the name to whatever it is. Right. Make a copy.
And then you clear it out in the copy.
And then you clear it out in the copy.
But how do you clear it out without deleting?
Just
wait a minute. You don't work out of that cell. Yeah, you make a copy of that to another sheet, rename it, and then you clear it out.
Right, I understand.
So like,
just clear out the balance.
So all you're doing is clearing out the white. You're not clearing out the gray.
Yep. If it, and that's the same thing.
The formula.
Yes. The gray is what makes it the formula. Yep. Okay. Awesome. So there's that spreadsheet. That sounded really bad. I don't know why I said it like that. There's the spreadsheet. The second thing is you have your kids you turn in their order forms. Now I do this personally, but I really would like a way to figure out how to make them do it themselves.
I use Google Forms.
Okay, well that may be my next thing.
Because you can make a spreadsheet from that Google Form.
That may be my next. So this may not even be a real thing anymore because I think I'm switching to Google Forms because I'm tired of inputting this myself.
Yes.
But
Do you have both paper copy and Google Form copy?
I make a copy, just if they lose their own copy, I have a copy. But, so I'll have a day in class where every kid comes in with their order forms, and on the Google form, it'll go through and it'll say, rolls of sausage, this many rolls, money owed, I owe this much. And so they go through and they fill it all out themselves, and then whenever they're done, I just go to my side and click make Excel.
yep. If you've not used Google Forms, they're amazing.
Yes.
I love it. So this is how I have done it. I'm going to Google Forms because I'm tired of inputting this myself because I'd have their paper copy in hand, right? And they've added it up on the paper, and then I've said, okay, Bevanu needs 77 sausage, 29 bacon, 8 chicken, so on and so forth, all the way across. And then what it does for me is number one, it calculates because the formulas are in here for the amounts, like how much each thing's cost. And so it gives you a total of how much they owe. And so that should match what they have written down on their paper form, right? And so it's a double check for me before I place the order. I will say this spreadsheet is kind of a booger because the cells or the formulas are over here on the side. So it'll say you go and they change the price of sausage again. It's up, like if you click this first cell, that's the formula. And so, B3 is blue and gold sausage, C3 is bacon, so on and so forth. And you could just change the dollar amount right there. That one's a little more tricky, a little more finicky. Definitely don't want to have to type that all out by hand. So then let's say you do change it. Better quit. Let's say you do change it and you want it to make sure it does it for all of the cells. You just click and drag it maybe down there, and it changes that amount all the way across. really, this is the only cell in this whole spreadsheet that has a formula, like this column right here. I break it out also just for T&D stuff. So from this E column over, because I give a prize for the top T&D salesman. So there's that spreadsheet. The cool thing it also does is it adds up all your product down at the bottom. So it says 500 sausage, all this, whatever. That brings us to our next spreadsheet, the chapter order spreadsheet. So it's the same kind of stuff, but you're able to come in and copy and paste this, copy and paste this right here. Copy. And then paste values, because if you paste, you'll get the formulas. It won't look pretty. Paste values, and what it does is it automatically charges you $6.25. That's your cost for a stick of sausage, right? Times that by 500, that gets you your 3,000 or whatever, and that this cell figures up your profit. So you're able to see how much your total bill is. Breaks it out between blue and gold and T&D, number of items if that matters to you, your total profit for your sale that year, and then this breaks it down by 20, 6 and 2, and that tells you when you call blue and gold, hey, I need 25 cases, so and so on and so forth. So there's that. Those are my meat sale ones. Any questions so far?
All right, in your blue gold sale where the kids' totals are, you have it figured out where, like, there's 20 sticks in a case of sausage. If they have 16, does that automatically count as a case? You have to do a chapter order.
So that doesn't happen until right here.
Okay.
Because I just have them do individual sticks of sausage.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's how my order form's set up.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if your order form's set up differently, then you would just transpose those numbers, I guess. But if that makes sense for you. But for me, 77 here means 77 sticks of sausage, not 77 cases. That'd be crazy. I don't know. You may have people that order that much, but like I said, this does get stickier because once, like, if prices change, it is kind of a booger trying to change those. But all right. Not trying to rush, but I'm going to go through this. This one's pretty self-explanatory. This is just a template that I use to fuel track my gas mileage. It hasn't become an issue, but I'm always scared, or not scared, worried that someone's going to be like, well, how come you ag teacher, how come you're always filling up your truck? You're using the gas all the time. How much gas are you using? Well, thanks to this spreadsheet, I can pull it up and say, well, I've only used 67 gallons this year, or whatever the case may be. I have this as a physical year, because that's how our school does things, right? And so this is the spreadsheet. So you have your date, I don't even know if that's a realistic number. So let's say you put your odometer in when you filled up, or when you whatever, okay, and you put 21 gallons in, or 21.5 gallons. What it does is over here, it calculates how many miles it's been since you last filled up, since, it subtracts these two, and then it adds your gallons over here to your year-to-date gallons amount, and then you have a year-to-date miles account or cell, and then also what these cells are your total, like, let me go to mine real quick. This makes more sense if you have more data than just the one thing.
Tim, at your school,
Yes.
do you have to go to, at the end of the year, like, where we've got to fill out a fundraiser request form at the start of the year? And then at the end of the year, they want to know how much money we spent, how much we made off of it.
Right?
You got to do the same thing?
No.
But that right there would just...
But this would help you out, right? And if let's say you have to pay your own gas out of your 412 account, you have a record of how much fuel that was, right? And so this is my actual one that I use. I have data going back to FY20, and so you're able to see first of all the differences between each year, your driving habits. FY21 we didn't do a whole lot of driving because COVID, right? But I'm able to say, you know, if someone comes up to me and says, hey, why are you, you know, you're spending a lot of gas. Well, no, I've only spent, I mean, yeah, it's been 346 gallons, but how much have you spent, right? But at least gives you a number. It gives you some knowledge. This is what I spend my money on. The thing you could do differently is add a description of what you've done on that tank of gas if you really wanted. But I also think you would do that maybe in your teacher journal and AET. That probably is a better place for that since you're able to track those miles. But
Kind of like driving kids to alumni camp.
right. Does this make sense? This is included in your folder. All right. I haven't got my new truck yet. I'm really sad. All right. Okay. The other things in here, and I know I'm out of time. Can you guys take one and pass it down? This is a QR code for the folder of stuff that I'm sharing you. There's a lot of stuff. I'll show you in here if you have a second of what's in that folder. There's 10 documents that I'm giving you guys. The ones that I used, mainly because I was a new program and didn't have a whole lot of history, is a yearly history sheet. So I wanted a way to capture, you know, who got their when did someone get their chapter degree, when they get their green hand degree, things like that. So every year, at the end of the year, I put together this sheet, and it has like notable events of the year, who our student teacher was, who got their discovery degree that year, who got their green hand degree that year, so on and so forth, what grants or funding we got that year, and then how we did on our CDEs. And this is something that you would maybe print off each year, so that you keep a record in your like chapter archives or whatever, or your historian. And then there's what I call a complete history sheet. That's kind of like the Hall of Achievement that Oklahoma FFA has on their website. That's like any state or national level accomplishments that you'd want to remember like 20 years from now. You put that on here, and you're able to keep a running list of, you know, your chapter officers or who got the FFA scholarship or, you know, whatever. So there's that. So looking at this folder, this is the folder you're getting. You're getting the letterhead, which is basically just a letter template, right? Just a letterhead. You're getting all of the things I mentioned. This is like a sign-up sheet that you could change out and send to your kids, send the link to your kids, email them or whatever. And then this is an inventory sheet, which we didn't get to, but I have it broken down by like shop, like all your shop stuff. You have your serial numbers. You could even take it a step further and put a section in here for like a photo. You could do the same thing that we did for the financial stuff and take photos of stuff and link it in here. Classroom, storage, and FFA stuff. I keep mine digitally, that way I don't have to deal with wrestling down any paper. But
I know this is a Google workshop. But what about if you've already got something similar to this, like say my inventory sheet?
Uh-huh.
Can I take pictures and put that in Excel the same way?
Probably if it's in a OneDrive folder, which is like Microsoft's version of Drive.
Gotcha.
So that's it. That's what the QR code gets you, is this folder. My email's on there if you have any questions. If you have trouble with this formula or whatever, that's all I got. So I hope you got something
Tim, you did
out
a
of
good
it.
job.
So,
Really good.
okay, I don't want to keep you guys. I ran a little over, but
If I can have you guys fill out, okay, and you can fill out a different one. All the orange QR codes are the same, and then the yellow QR code we'll do at the end for a conference evaluation. You can fill it out at the end of the day or fill it out before you leave.
this is my QR code if it didn't work on the paper. So.
This will be used all day long, right?
Yes, the same one.
Leave it on the table?
Yeah. So if you guys will leave it on the table, that'll be perfect.
If a link doesn't work in my folder, let me know. I may have to change my settings, but just let me know. So.
Good job, Tim.
Well, thanks.